So we're actually going through, we actually completed it. So one important functionality of ATTR is like aggregate function. If you're using any aggregate functions in the calculations, if you wants to resolve those type of issues, so we can use ATTR, aggregate and non-aggregate issues. Okay. So the next concept we are going to do is like level of details, which is yeah. You're saying something?
No.
So we have we have different types of LODs like fixed, include, and exclude. What is the advantage of fixed? And most of the cases, I can say 90% of the cases we do use fixed in real time. And very rare cases we'll use exclude or include. I'll tell you advantage of include, but yeah, we'll see. So one of the advantage they have introduced in 2021, I think I'm not exactly sure the version. So they have introduced one of the shortcut to create is a quick LOD. So if you select one dimension and one measure, you just right click, create LOD calculation, right? So this is one of the best option they have provided because to write a level of detail calculation, it will be a bit tough for the initial phase. So let's go for a calculation field. So fixed, then no recommendations, right? So that's what, if you're not aware of what exactly the calculation, so it will be a bit tough. So I'm going to write, so fixed, for example, no dimensions. I can include a dimension, fixed category, sum of sales, and close the parentheses. So that way we can write a fixed LOD calculation. But as I said, one of the easiest ways, like the only default thing is like you'll get only fixed. That is the reason Tableau provided this as a default, right? Fixed is very important. So you don't get any include or exclude by default in the fixed LOD calculation. So from here, like you can modify. Let's say you just create a sample LOD in place of region if you want to go for category, or in place of sales if you want to go for profit. That way we can change the calculation, right? So let me showcase an example. Let's say we have a category by sales, and if I want to capture total value, right? Let's say I want to capture grand total, the actual grand total, but we have total function as well, right? Total is a table calculation, right? So I'll write a calculated field and we'll compare total amount of sales, total sales. You can double click. This will give you the grand total. Or let's go to analyses, totals, show column level grand totals. Now I'll write a LOD calculation. Okay. So create a calculator field. Fixed. To capture grand total, fixed. No need to mention any dimension. It's column sum of sales. This is fixed total sales. So everything looks same, right? Total and fixed total sales, correct? So these two are same, but it's not different because total sales is a table calculation, correct? Total sales is a table calculation, and This is a level of detail. So how we can differentiate is if you apply a simple filter condition and you can unselect some part of data, right? If you filter out some part of data, right, you can see the differentiation. Here the total is 1 2 4 5 8 3 6, and here you can see it's fixed, the actual grand total. So whatever the actual grand total, right, this one 2 3 2 6 5 3 4, this will reflect here irrespective of the filter condition. This will give you the actual grand total 2 3 2 6 5 3 4. Okay, even we can will get the same, I mean, with the window function, window sum of sales. So as you know, sum of sales window sum of sales is exactly the same, similar to total function. So and because both are table calculations, so this two will get the same results if I apply filter condition. So this will be same because both are table calculation, but this is not the table level. This is fixed across whatever the actual total value. If you wants to get, we are fixing the total. That is what fixed total sales, sum of sales. So if you wants to calculate across a particular level, for an example, we have a fixed sales, right? For an example, if I wants to calculate the sales across uh, category level, so this is already calculating the irrespective of any dimension, and we already have subcategory level of sales, right? But if I add additional dimension, now my intention is to get the sales. I'll add subtotals to get a proper idea. So my intention is I want to calculate the total, right, across, I mean, across subtotal. So this is capturing grand total, right? So now if I want to capture subtotals, that means I want to calculate across category level of data. So categories like furniture. What is the sales, total sales of furniture? 754, 748. Yeah. Profi supplies this value. For technology, this. In that case, even though we have a table calculation pane down, but that's a table calculation, right? So we can go with the fixed. Now I will add category here, fixed sum of sales, fixed category sum of sales. So this will calculate across furniture level, I mean, category level. So this is furniture total value. This is office supplies total value. And this is technology total value. Okay. So this is one of the advantage with fixed. Even if you apply filter condition, right? Even though if you're going to apply filter condition, this doesn't change. So that's the standard functionality of level of details. Okay. Now, what exactly, I mean, how it helps, right? I mean, so for an example, if I wants to know the percentage contribution, right, across grand total, fixed percentage, actual percentage, irrespective of, I mean, it's not similar to table calculation, then we'll go for analysis, create a calculated field. So let's go for sum of sales divided by, let's use sales divided by fixed total sales. Fixed percentage to total. So let's double click here.
Now, if you look into the percentage, this is, you can clearly see the overall is 100%, right? Here it is 32, here it is 31 and 36. So the overall is like 100%. I mean, in the table level calculation, you can clearly see every time it will point to 100. But if I filter out some part of data, let's say, if I'm going to filter out something like storage, 9.66, okay. So this will subtract out of 100, will subtract 9.66. So let me unselect storage. Clearly you can see 90.34, right? So you're getting the exact percentage. If you filter out the data, it is going to minus that particular value. But table calculation is not like that, right? So if I'm going to apply quick table percentage to total, you can clearly see 100%, right? So, but this is not getting 100%. So this is where you can see the difference. So percentage across a grand total, you'll get the actual percentage. If you, even though if you apply filter, I mean, this doesn't change. This will give you the actual percentage contribution to the grand total or whatever the level. So that's the difference. If you want to go for table calculation, most of the cases percentage wise, I can say will prefer table calculations. But in some cases, if they want to go for a level of details, yeah, I mean, they won't say level of details, but the actual percentage, then that will be, we can go with. Yeah. So this is what fixed in general. Basically, I mean, let me capture one of the calculated field. But remember, right, you have a shortcut for this, correct? Before we don't have a shortcut. So we have a shortcut to create a simple level of details. Then we can change the LOD fund, I mean, calculation based on the requirement. But you just select one dimension, one measure is mandatory. Right click, create a level of detail calculation. That way we can create a LOD. So we have exclude. I mean, okay, let's go with a fixed average. Okay, this is interesting. It's not direct. That is the reason I'm going through this. So we have subcategory wise sales. And I want to calculate average, the actual average. Okay, you know, like we are calculating the actual sum, the total, irrespective of the filter. So if I apply and if I calculate the average, right, I have to get the actual average, even though if you apply filter condition. So for an example, this doesn't work directly. I mean, so we have a window average of sum of sales. This is one of the best calculation to get average. So this is what the actual average, right? So 136,855. Okay. If I apply a filter condition, this will change. For an example, if I unselect tables, so the data is changing. I mean, the numbers are changing 132,407. Depends on the value, right? This is what table calculation. But how we can achieve using level of details. So for an example, if I write fixed at grand total, right, fixed average of sales. See, clearly it is not aggregating across the subcategory level. This might work. I mean, this is aggregating across the lowest level. So how I can say is, if you convert this sum of sales, this is sum of sales, right? If you convert this sum of sales to average of sales. And if I make this totals enable, right? Show column level grand totals. Clearly you can see the average is 228. Okay. That is what you're getting here. So this is calculating across lowest level. I have seen that order ID and product level. So that's the lowest level. So basically, if I want to calculate the actual average with fixed, so now the aggregation has to happen across in the report level. That is, at least we have subcategory in the report. So in that case, in place of average of sales, you have to aggregate across subcategory level of sales, not this regular sales. Okay. So what I will do is I'll write another level of detail calculation. Average of, again, I'm going to write fixed. I'm going to fix the sales across subcategory. Fixed subcategory, sum of sales. Fixed. This is where the additional calculation, fixed subcategory, sum of sales. I need to close. Perfect. The calculation is valid. So this is what the actual sales in place of the regular sales. So this is what the interesting factor. So now you can see the Windows average of sales and the fixed average of sales is absolutely same. Perfect. Clear? So first, what we'll do is, in here we can calculate the sales across subcategory level, fixed subcategory, sum of sales. Okay. Then on top of this, we are going to calculate average. Okay. So we'll do average. We'll do average of sales on top of this subcategory level of data. Because if you don't aggregate across subcategory level, this doesn't make sense. I mean, this is what happening. So it's giving the average across the lowest level. That's the issue. Okay. So apart from that, that's fine. So most of the cases for average will go for window function. This will give you the actual average, but it's a table calculation. If you filter out some part of data, clearly this will give you the table level average, but this is the actual average. Okay. Clear?
Yeah.
So we'll go through level of details, exclude and include tomorrow. So I'll stop here. Okay. I'll take the session bit early tomorrow, and we'll do more time. And then after completion of this, we'll start functions. Okay. String functions, number, and importantly, we have date functions, which is very important. Then we'll go through charts and Tableau server or online Tableau cloud. Okay.
All right. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thank you, friend. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we are going through a level of details, which is fixed, include, and exclude. And as we know, there is a shortcut, right? So if you select one of the dimension and any measure, so you just right click, create LOD calculation, and then we'll get this formula correct. This is one of the advantage with level of details. So, and I mean, we have seen fixed, right? So we can calculate fixed by making use of, I mean, if you wants to calculate across a specific level, aggregation across particular level, we can make use of LOD calculation. And even we have seen the percentage contribution. This will give you generally the actual percentage irrespective of the filter. Even though if you apply the filter, see here, this is the actual average. But when you apply the filter, See, the average is changing when it comes to table calculation, but the fixed average is every time fixed. Even though if you have a one single record, the average will give you the actual average. So that's a advantage here. Okay. So we have exclude. Exclude, I can say quite opposite to fix, but there is one simple difference. It's which is similar to table calculation, but I'll showcase that. I'll give you comparison between fixed and exclude. For example, we have subcategory wise sales, and exclude similar to fixed sum of sales, right? To get grand total. This is exclude sales. If you double click on exclude sales, one quick point here for exclude is you can see the default aggregation for exclude is ATTR. Okay, that is one important point. We're not sure why the default aggregation is ATTR, but we can change once it is once we create, right? So you can change to some of exclude sales. You'll get the same result, but the default aggregation, if someone asks, that is what the point here. If someone asks like what is the default aggregation for exclude is ATTR. Okay, but the formula you can see, right? So exclude sum of sales, you're getting the same, exactly this value similar to the actual sales, correct? So, but if you consider fixed sum of sales, fixed sum of sales is like fixed sum of sales is going to give you total sales, okay? So if you double click, this will give you grand total. But when it comes to like exclude sum of sales, it's completely different, opposite. You're getting the subcategory level of data. So we have to exclude any dimension to get we have to exclude whatever the level of granularity, whatever the dimensions present in the report to get grand total. So so let's edit this, right click, exclude sales. So we have only subcategory in our report. So in that case, we will exclude subcategory. Understand, right? So I'm going to exclude subcategory here. Exclude. Then you will get a grand total. You can see. Now fixed and exclude is almost the same, right? So there's a formula, exclude subcategory sum of sales, right, to get a grand total because we have only one dimension. Clearly you can see both are same now, but the formula is different. You have to exclude subcategory, but for fixed total sales, you don't need to like include anything, right? Any dimension. So for an example, why this is not recommended in place of fixed days. So let's add subtotals or totals, okay? So anyhow, this is what we are getting. If you apply filter condition, tables, storage. So whenever I'm going to apply the filter condition, you're not getting the same grand total as fixed, right? So this is what happening here. Let me add total sales. This will give you the same. So the exclude sum of sales is not a table calculation, but you are getting the same result as table calculation. That is one thing we have to consider. We have to understand. Level of details is not table calculation. One of the bigger advantage with LOD is fixed. So that is the reason fixed. We are going to use 90% of the cases. We are going to use fixed in real time. I can say even 100%, but yeah, maybe sometimes we are going to use include or yeah. Yeah. So we have fixed is completely different. Exclude is also going to get the same result, but generally the intention is to exclude the dimension, okay, to get whatever the results. So for an example, if I'm going to add any other dimension, so let me add a category here. So this value changes. You can see exclude, you're getting grand total, right? Or all three are same, correct? Exclude, total, sales, fixed. But if I'm going to add subcategory to rows, see this exclude sum of sales data changed. This store remained the same, but exclude sum of sales. Let's go here. Exclude sum of subcategory, sum of sales. So it excluded subcategory level. Now it is aggregating across category level, right? So that is what we have to be careful while working with exclude. I mean, if you're going to add additional dimensions, aggregation will change. So in that case, if you still wants to get the grand total, you have to add category level as well. Category, subcategory. Then now you can see you're getting aggregation across category level, this one. If I add category in the exclude sales, click apply, you will clearly see the same grand total. So that means whenever you're going to add new dimensions, you have to exclude whatever the dimensions present in the report. You have to remove all the dimensions to get this done. So that is what one important thing. Okay. We have include. I can say this is pretty different use case include. In one of the case I have used, but probably there might be other solutions as well. So we have subcategory wise sales. And let me add analysis. Include some of six. So if you look into the same, right, when I add exclude sum of sales or include sum of sales, default, you're getting the same result, right?
Yeah.
Include sum of sales is also the same. So basically, if I'm going to include any other dimensions, so for an example, if you do any modifications to the calculation, okay, category, subcategory. If you include category, subcategory, region, so click apply. So I included almost 3 dimensions, which are not present here. Only subcategories, correct? Only subcategories present in the report. If you look into this, you have category here, have subcategory, and you have region, right? Still, the results doesn't change. Understand, right? If you include any dimension, that's a difference here. So if you add any dimensions, you don't see any impact in the calculation for include, correct? So I'll tell you simple logic here, the include functionality. Let me add this. Let me add only region first. Anyhow, category and subcategory are like a parent and child. If I change this aggregation type to average, clearly you can see the results changed, right? Got it? So what I mean to say is if you go for sum, you didn't see any change in the result. But if you, let's say minimum or maximum, right? If you go back to minimum or maximum across, I mean, let me add region here. If you let me go with this example, okay. Consider this report. Let me duplicate. I didn't add anything. Include sales, and let me remove region here. So if I'm going to use average, you are getting average here, right? How you are getting average? So this, I mean, this is not include, but just to refer this, average is like what I have done is just understand this. This is one of the important functionality, completely different functionality for include category, subcategory, include category and subcategory, region by sum of sales. So what is happening here is average is like 167. I think I have to. So if you type in 167,380 divided by 4, okay, you can clearly see 4181845, correct? Here. So what is happening here is based on the number of regions, okay? We have 4 regions. Straight away it is doing average across region level. That means if we have 4 regions, you can clearly see this dividing by 4, correct? You understand, right?
Yeah.
So when I do different aggregation, as I said, if you do some that doesn't make sense, exactly you're getting the same sum of sales. But if I'm going to do minimum, what is happening here? What is the minimum value for accessories? 27277. You can clearly see for accessories, the minimum value is 27277. Across that particular level, what is the minimum value, right? And that is what we can capture. So this is one of the advantage. If you can see maximum, this is capturing the maximum value across that particular region. Completely different use case. See, I do feel this is one of the toughest thing to capture in a regular process. We have to write some different formulas to capture that. But this is one good advantage with include. Clear?
Yeah.
Any questions on?
No question.
So this is one advantage. I mean, I have to use. I'll go for average. So that way. So you have to use average, include average sales. How to use include average aggregation. Other than some, it will work actually. If you do some for include functionality, this doesn't make sense. So that's what level of details and calculations. So that's what level of details. We have functions. Let me create a new workbook for these functions. Importantly, we have string functions, date functions, and number functions. I can say date related functions are very important. Basically, we have a lot many options, and in real time, it helps a lot, the date related functions. Some of the functions we have already gone through. For an example, we have some transform options as well, right? When you look into this order ID, right? Split, right click, you can see transform, split. So this will give you the separation, right? So wherever you have a separation, it's split into 3 different columns, the CA or US and the year and the order ID, correct? So this is like transform split. But if you go back to one of the option, like, uh, let's use the same order ID. If he wants to replace or if he wants to capture left, right, there is a transform option that's a straight away. But if you go back to calculations, let me use left function, left of order ID. And if he wants to capture the first 2 characters like CA and US, CA and US using left function. Okay. So if you double click, this will give you CA and US data. Okay. So because if you want to filter out only CA related order IDs or Canada or US related order IDs, this will help us, right? The same thing I have done the straight away using split, this split option where you can see is also doing the same thing. And even we can also use mid function to capture year, mid of order ID, comma, what is the starting 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to capture the middle value year 4, the starting character is 4, and the length number of characters you have to capture is 4. Okay, this is like year using mid function. Perfect. We're getting the same result like as split option. So that is one of the advantages transform split if you have a separation. But yes, not every time we can use because, for an example, if I want to capture only 20, 21, 22, 23, only that number, right? It won't get split directly, right? So if you can change left side any number or right side any number, something like that. And there is one possibility with if this left. There is one possibility is replace. Replace is one of the advantage, one of the very good function. Or in few cases, I'm not saying like it's. Every time we do use replace, but let's say if you look into the CA hyphen, right? There's a hyphen separation. For an example, if it is a numerical value, some phone number with hyphen separation, and if I don't want to get any separation, right? Nothing in the separation. So I wants to remove everything. Then you can go to analysis, create a calculator field. We can make use of replace. We can make use of replace order ID, comma, substring. What is the substring now? We have hyphen and the replacement. Let's say, for an example, if I'm going for a replacement as star, right? I can use star. Oh, it's a string, right? You have to be in single quotes. Replace. Clearly, you can see you're getting star, right? So, for an example, if you want to, in few cases, like let's say, I'm not saying this is the best example, but let's say if your account number which starts with, generally when you're in for account numbers or any transactions related secured information, so you'll get all stars and last 3 or 4 digits they'll show up, right? So that is what they can replace all the data with star last first few characters, and then the last they'll show some numbers. That is what just an example. That is a different case, but you can replace some numbers with star to hide some security purpose. Even I'll go for another. If you don't want to replace anything, replace order ID, comma, substring hyphen. Let's use space. Okay. Don't use any space. Sorry. Let's use double quotes. Replace hyphen. See, nothing is it straight away. CA 2020. You don't have any space, anything, right? Straight away, the number directly. I mean, it's not a number. I'm referring to the phone number. If you have a hyphen or some separation or a dot. Okay. So we have this is what I can say, one of the important function, but we have anyhow we have seen this in filters. Like, when you go to analysis, in the wildcard match, you have seen contains, right? Contains starts with. We have seen this, right? So we have function called as contains. For an example, if you type in region and it contains substring W, okay? Contains W. If you see wherever you can see W, so you can see true right here. Contains. Interestingly, initially it was like a case sensitive. Now it is not a case sensitive. So they removed, I think. So for the calculation, it's a case sensitive. Now this is good actually, because this doesn't, in the previous versions, it was, it will also show true, false actually. Okay.
If you change the W to C, it will also show the central field true.
Yeah, if you, I mean, yeah, if you type in E, click apply, then you can see E is present in central, E is present in east, E is present in west. Everything is true. Only south is false. Correct. So basically, this is what contains. I mean, this is also one advantage. I mean, if you're working on a unstructured data, this will help a lot. So we have starts with as well. Starts with, let's say, customer name, comma, Adam. Starts with Adam. If you add customer name and starts with, so wherever you can see true, right, you can see Adam here. Correct. If you unselect false, this will give you only the Adam related information, which starts with Adam. So that is also one advantage. Clear? So we have these functions, I mean, string functions. We have ends with as well, but yeah. So one important function I can say is replace and left, mid, even right. But as I said, one advantage is like split, right? If you have a separation, you can directly go to transform and split, or even custom split. Okay. So the limitation is 10. If you have a 10 separations, it will split into 10 separate columns. So that is one of the advantage here. So we'll go through number functions and date related functions tomorrow. Okay. Any questions?
No.
Yeah. Thank you, friend. So we'll connect back tomorrow.
That's which manual for the
Yeah. So we're actually going through functions. So we have seen string functions in the last class, right? So, and we do have number functions. I can say this is rarely we are going to use number functions, but we'll see. Uh, Basically in Tableau, right, if you're going to create a measure, for an example, if you write any aggregate function, even if you do one, like a simple number of records, right? So this will aggregate actually. Still, this will give you, so if you're going to drop here, I mean, this will give you the count. So the total number of records. So what I meant to say is if I'm going to do anything on top of measure value or the numerical data, automatically it will aggregate. Okay. So what I meant to say is instead of going for that, let me go for a discrete. I mean, not to aggregate. Okay. I mean, discrete in the sense like I'll convert into dimension. So for an example, so we have different number functions, like we have a round of, let's say 9.5. See, this comes under measure. If I double click, this will give you some different number, right? Because of aggregation. So if I'm not going to aggregate, it's not coming up. If I'm not going to aggregate straight away, this will give you, see, it's coming as a each and every record, right? Lowest level, there are like more than 10,000 plus records. It's not aggregating, still it's showing the same. There are a lot many tens here. It's rounding up, you can see. A lot of records here actually. Let me show, see. Showing one data. So simply what I'm going to do is you just drag and drop this round into dimension, okay? And just place here. This will give you 10, correct?
Yeah.
So analysis, create a calculated field. So we have we have seen string functions like replace, left, mid function, right, and we have something like contains, starts with, ends with. Even we have gone through transform, split. So for number functions, we have round, ceiling, load some absolute value. So generally we have a seal, but in Tableau they're calling as ceiling, and we have floor. So for an example, I'm going for 9.0001 seal, and let me go for a calculated field for floor. So if you look into this seal, I used 9.0001, right? So, and for floor, I used 9.99. So still it is giving you 10, correct?
Yeah.
So the value of 9.000001, this is coming as 10. And for floor, you can clearly see it's almost 10, 9.99999. So this is giving you the result as 9. This is 10. This is 9, the output. But what exactly for ceiling and flooring is like when you consider, if I say 9, 9 to 10 in between 9.001 to 9.99 in between 9 to 10, whatever the value, right? If it is between exactly 9 and 10, I mean, I'm not saying as 9 or not saying as 10. So if it is exactly between these two, every time ceiling will give you 10 and floor will give you the ground value. That's what 9. But if I'm going to increase, this is what we tested. If you are going to increase the number of decimals more than 15, the output will change. Okay, so this is 5. So more than 15, it's 14 actually. So let me click apply. Clearly you can see 9. The result got changed. Okay, if you have a big decimal value, we have to check on that, but that's okay. Like, we don't worry about those. If you're going to increase the number of decimals, this will give you 10 here. You can see that's the only difference. But generally, we don't have like big decimals most of the cases, but it depends. Like, so that is what actually ceiling and floor. So based on generally we go for round, right? So if it is round of 9.5 or 10, 10.5 or whatever it is, this will give you 10. So absolute, in few cases, we have to go with absolute. So for an example, we can create it directly. We can create ABS of some -10. This will give you 10. Okay, absolute of -10. This will give you the positive 10. But if I wants to go for a, let's say for an example, have subcategory wise profit. I wants to display these three negative values into positive for some reason. I have to display the positive numbers. Okay, then analysis, we cannot say absolute of profit. Okay, let's see how this will work. Absolute of profit. See, the absolute of profit is not giving you the proper results in all the cases. So very few records, I feel the first record is matching. The second one, third, this bit close, but not matching.
Why did that happen?
No, what I mean to say is do not perform absolute before aggregation. Okay. So you can do after the aggregation. So absolute of sum of profit. Okay. Now clearly you can see you're getting the proper results. So you have these three negative values, but you can clearly see the positive values here. Perfect. So if you want to convert into positive values, we can use absolute function. So importantly, we have very important like date functions. So we have like date part, date name, date truncation, date addition, date difference. These are the main functions, but anyhow, we'll go through. Let me create a new workbook. So we actually have these date-related functions. Before moving on to that, we have some of these functions like year, right? So year or year of order date. This will also give you year, but directly we don't get as a dimension. It comes under measure, so we need to simply drag and drop into dimension to get year. So similarly, we have a quarter. So they introduced a quarter function as well, somewhere around 2018. Before that, we don't have a quarter function. So we have month function, month of order date. This will give you the month number. So whenever you are going to use direct functions, this will give you the number format. This will give you the number format. But if I want to display month name, so as I said, we have even we have date part and date name. Okay. So for an example, I can say date part of month or a date month. See, it comes under measures, same as month function. This will also give you the same result, month function or date part of month. Okay. So instead of doing that, I'm going to use date name. Okay. Date name of month. This will give you this you can see that the data type changed to string. So this will give you the naming convention. Oh, it's already there. See,
Yeah.
yeah, you're getting the text values, the actual month names. So similarly, we have date part of week, week of order. This will give you a week number. Weekday. This will give you weekday number whenever you're going to use date part. Sorry, Control Z. How to convert into dimension. So this will give you 7 days of week, weekday number. If you want to go for a weekday name, sorry, date name function, weekday, comma, order date, weekday. So this will give you proper naming convention. So we can create, even we can create calendar. So I'll drop weekday into column, and we can use here into filter, single value drop down, I can say. And even we can go to quarter as well. Single value slide. It depends, like I'm just using only one single selection at a time. So let's go with the month. Let's use single value drop down. So here the quarter, you can see I selected Q1. That's the reason you're not getting data. But if you have to select Q2, oh sorry, we are in Q3 now. Perfect. So even the best option I can see is only relevant values. So that way, if you are going to select what happened? So if you're going to select whatever the quarter, this will give you that specific months related to that quarter. So there's a weekday, and you can use day, whatever the day, right? So you can directly use day, or we have a date part of day. This is also you need to convert into and drop into text. This will give you the actual day. So this is like a calendar. And if you want to convert into some different shape, you can assign some circles, and you can do alignment, and you can do center alignment, hold. Drop weekday into color. That way we can differentiate. So this is what calendar, okay? So you can select a particular month wise data. Clear? So importantly, we have date name function, which gives you the naming convention. So the best example I can say is month or weekday name. But we have important functions like date truncation. So analyses, create a calculator, date trunc. So the naming convention. Trunc. So date trunc of, so if you look into the syntax, right? Date trunc of date part. An example, I'll go for year comma or a date. This will truncate at year level. Date trunc at year level. So let me double click and add date trunc of year. So clearly we have 4 years of data, and it is truncating to first day of that particular year, correct? So 1/1/2020, 1/1/2021. So first day of that particular year. So instead of year, instead of order date, sorry, if I'm going for today function, okay, this will give you current year start date. Default, you can see date and time, but you can convert into date, and this automatically the function date of that date trunc function. Even we can also, importantly, we can also create a parameter. So for an example, select date data type. I can say date selection, but I'll use the date parameter. So now right click show parameter. So we are getting today's date here. If you go back to date trunc of today, I mean instead of using function, you can use date parameter. So whatever the year, I mean, here we have date selection. If you go back to 2024, same date, this will give you January 1st, 2024. Okay. So I'm getting the reason, some noise. I'll mute you. If you have the issue, please switch to. So we have date truncation at year level. This helps a lot, actually. These two functions are important. I mean, these three are important in real time.
Were you talking to me?
Sorry?
Did you ask me a question?
No. Actually, I'm getting some background. Whatever I'm teaching, right? The same noise. It's like an echo.
No, there's no echo. Everything's stable. Chat.
Yeah,
Can
that's
you
what.
hear me? I muted it before I tried.
Yeah, actually, I'm getting some background noise. Whatever I'm teaching, so the same noise will be coming, the
No
reflection.
matter. This place is quiet. I'm hearing you clearly.
Yeah. So importantly, we have date trunk of year, date trunk of quarter. So in place of order data, as I said, we have to use date parameter, dynamic function. So if I'm going to select, for an example, March some first, this will give you the first day of that particular quarter. Okay. Understand, right? So
Okay. When you say truncate, that means it's giving the future year, right?
yeah, when you say truncate, it will truncate across that particular level. I mean, start date of that particular level. For an example, if you truncate at year level, this will give you start date of that particular year. If you say truncated quarter, this will give you start date of that particular quarter. Okay. Yeah, if you go for a month level, date trunk of month, date parameter, month level. So this is giving as, I mean, first, for an example, if I'm going to select July somewhere 24, still you can see it's getting 1/7/2024, July 1st. Okay. So for an example, if I go for August some 15th, this will give you August 1st. But this is giving you the same July 1st, right? It is truncating it that particular quarter. This is particular month and this is particular year. I selected 2024, but in general, this will be 2023. Okay. I selected June 21st. You can clearly see you're getting June 1st, but here you can see the start date of that particular quarter, April 1st. But every time the truncation at year level will give you the first date of that particular year.
Well,
Yeah. So this is what date truncation at these three levels. Importantly, we have a date addition. The combination of date truncation and date addition, I'll go through one of the important scenarios. So, but I'll go through, or let's continue date addition. So this is same. The functionality is same. So if you see, like, you're getting the same date part, but the syntax is like, I'm going for interval -1, and based on some date value, date parameter, dynamic functional. Date addition of -1 in year -1, right? Year -1. So clearly you can see exactly whatever the parameter is selected. Based on that, it is going back. For an example, is let's consider today's date. Exactly going back 1 year, 2022, right? 030720. That's a date addition of -1. So I use minus. If addition will give you generally add. Most of the cases we think that positive number, but we can also go back with negative. So date add of even month. One. So this will give you the next month, you can see. I mean, this is the previous session, but whatever the date we selected, right? 0307. And here we are getting 0308. So if you want to get previous day, so we can go for analysis, create a calculation. Data and of day comma -1 date parameter. Today -1. I mean date I'll add date add of day. Okay. So based on a value, you can clearly see. So you're getting certain of this. So one of the advantage is the combination of data addition and data truncation. I'll showcase one scenario tomorrow. Then we'll go through date differentiation. Then we'll start checking. Okay. Clear? Any questions?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Calculation of that straightforward.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So we're actually going through date related functions. So basically we have seen like date truncation, date addition, correct? And so date addition helps to go back or front. I mean, you can add a particular year or a month or day, even you can go back, right? So one of the advantage I can say is with whatever we have seen. So we have an option to go for, I mean, this is what we have seen, but one of the advantages like where based on some particular date, if I wants to go back or let's say I wants to get a start date. So for an example, whatever the date I'm going to select, I wants to get a start date as a, I mean, end date. End date should be previous month last date, okay? And based on that, I wants to figure it out the start date, like 1 year. Let me come back to this, but so what, let's say I'm going to create a calculated field and how I have a date parameter. So end date how to get previous month last date. So I'm going to use date trunc. Okay, date truncation of month comma date parameter. So I'll use parameter. See, if I'm going to select today's date, so the output should be previous month. That means June 30, right? That is what the expected result. So we are getting 1st of July because it's a truncation across month, you know, right? So if you truncate across month level, it will give you start date of that month. If you truncate it quarter, this will give you start date of that quarter or start date of that year for date truncation at year level. I'll change the data type to date. But if my intention is whenever you're going to select some date, it has to showcase previous month last date as an end date, and from there 1 year. Okay, exactly 1 year data back, 1 year back data. That is what one of the requirement I have seen. So, but we are getting simply we can see current month start date. To go back 1 day, we just edit. Even you can directly use -1. This will work. You can see. Understand, right? Straight away you can say whatever the, but you have to go for date truncation. Okay, that is what one of the flexibility. Let me change this to date. Clear? So first you can truncate, and just straight away you can use -1. Okay, this will give you 1 day minus. So it will truncate to start date of that particular month. Then it will -1 day, will give you date truncation across, I mean, whatever the expected result. Or you, if you want, you can straight away, you can do like whatever the date, right? The date parameter, whatever the value, we can use date parameter minus number of days, day of date parameter. That is also going to give you the solution. Okay. Now I wants to get what is the start date for this. If this is the end date, the start date should be, this is the end date, right? If end date is June 30, start date should be so it should be any guess. So 01/07/2022, right? July 1st to June 30. Let's say if end date is 31st December 2022 or 23, the start date should be 01/01/2023. Agree?
Yeah.
So let's concentrate on this. So now if you want to go back 1 year from here, you can straight away use analysis, create a calculated field. Not, I mean, I'm not talking about this end date. Use data parameter, okay? So I'm going to use date addition of year. Interval I'm using -1, comma, date parameter. Start date. This won't give you the directly the start date. The start date is like you are getting exactly 1 year back. 6/7/2023. Here it is 6/7/2022. Understand, right? So now our desired result is 6/7/2022. You have to get 0107 2022, correct? 0107. So it has to be first date of that particular month, 07. So we already came back to 2022 previous year with respect to the date. So what we can do is, so go back to start date. If you wants to get whatever the data, if you wants to get start date of that specific month based on this result, we have to use date truncation. So date trunk of at what level? Month. That's it. So based on whatever the output we are going to get, we are going to do truncation at month level. So if you truncate at month level for this date, this will give you start date of that specific month. Perfect. You can see 0107 0107 2022 to 30 June 2023. Now if you select December 31st, if I select December 31st, this will give you, this will go back to previous month. Okay. June, sorry, November 30, right? So if I'm going to select January some date, now you'll get proper exactly year start date and year end date. See, so I selected Jan 2024. Now clearly you can see you're getting 1st January 2023 to December 31st, 2023. This is a perfect example, right? So this is one of the important requirement I have seen with respect to the calculations. So with respect to date parameter. So whatever the date you're going to select, we have to get previous month last date as an end date. Okay. So we have a date difference. See, one interesting point I can say is with the date part, date name, okay, you'll get a date part, date name, you'll get individual dates, right? Year, month, quarter, or something like that. With the date truncation and date addition, you will get date. The output should be date. That's very important. Okay. So whatever the options whatever the calculation you're going to include, date truncation and date addition. So you will get date, complete date format, right? This one. This is date addition. But when it comes to like date differentiation, you can see the results here. So date differentiation is like, for an example, I have a order date, okay, order ID. So for each order ID, I wants to know how much time it took. So we have a ship date, and we do have a order date. Okay. So for an example, consider this. So if you look into this particular order has been placed on October 19th and it got delivered on October 24th, like 5 days, right? Similarly, you can see 28th September, October 3rd. So that way you have an order date and you have a shipping date, right? So if you want to calculate the differentiation between number of days, even see most of the cases we do feel like straight away how to go for functions like date difference or some other functions. But even let's understand the ship date minus order date will also work. Number of days, okay? You can clearly see we are getting 5, 5, 15. You can see some duplicate, some huge number in few cases. So for an example, here it is 5. It got delivered on 10th, but still it shows 30 number of days, right? So I'll tell you, because of multiple products, okay, what is happening here is it's multiplying with that number based on number of products. So you cannot go for sum. You have to go with the average aggregation. That way you'll get proper result. Now I can clearly see the data changed. Now it's only 3. But if I go back to still, yeah, it's
I
average.
have to do that to
If you click on sum, yeah, this shows C 15, right? But if you do average, it will give you 3. That's a perfect results. But still, this is one way, like you can straight away go with the calculation. If you have a date, directly we can subtract one date minus other date, or we can go with the date difference. Date difference sorted what level? Day level. So it shows start date. I have to go for order date. Let's see. Shift it, start date and end date. Date difference in number of days. So default it is summing up. Again, as I said, right, you have to go with average. This will give you proper results. Perfect. So we are getting the same result, like by making use of both date difference, or straight away if you subtract one date minus other. But importantly, how date difference helps is very important. So if you go back to, let's create a basic report here first. Now, if you want to fetch current year data, we have a flexibility, you know, right? So we have a date filter, right? If you drag and drop order date, you have a regular option to go with a year. Okay, you can select static particular year, or if you drag and drop order date into filters, you have a relay to date. And this is very important. I mean, this will work properly. I mean, this is more flexible. This will give you current year, this year, dynamically. You don't want to select every time based on the date changes, right? It won't change. So this will work whatever they, let's say if you are in 2024, this will give you 2024 data because we are selecting this year, current year. So alternative to this, I'm going to showcase. So date difference, year level, remove this. Even I'll drill down. I'll go for a month. Okay, we have 4 years of data. Now my intention is, I'm showing month, but my intention is to display it year level. So analysis, create a calculated field. So you can, we have an option to go for date difference of year with respect to, we have order date, right? Order date, comma, with respect to end date. So with respect to today's date, right? You can straight away use today function with respect to today. That means at year level, based on today's date, year is like 2023. It will consider, okay? So if it wants to get current year sales, current year sales. So I'm not displaying sales. Okay. I'm not displaying sales, but the logic will be will give you current year. This is a Boolean statement. If I'm going to apply filter, so okay, let me remove this. If you double click on current year sales, what happened? Okay, I didn't mention the differentiation, right? That's what I want to tell you. But what exactly happened? if date difference of year comma, I'm not actually, it's not completed. Year level, in from the order date you have to consider year, and from today's date you have to consider year, equal to 0. Okay, then you can see clearly where it is. It goes here, right? Then this will give you true or false. If I select false, this will give you only 2023 data. Clearly you can see. Okay, I mean, I'm not, that's what I said, right? I'm not displaying sales, but this is like a Boolean statement. But if you wants to go for proper, so let me write an if condition. If date difference of year comma order date comma today equal to 0, then sales. And now you will have a sales right now. So we have to convert into measure, okay? Because we converted into, it was converted into discrete. Let me convert into continuous. So let's come back. Clear? Are you getting current year sales like 2023?
Mm-hmm.
So if you wants to go for just a Boolean statement to get current year, to apply a filter instead of creating a measure, just a condition, this will give you, I mean, you don't want to add this if condition, okay? So, or if you just want to display sales, then this will work. This will give you current year sales. So two ways, but what is happening here is you can see the other years you're getting blank. So you have to, that's what I have said, right? So analysis, create a calculated field, date difference of year, comma, order date, comma, today equal to 0, current year. As I said, right, you have to drag and drop into filters to display only that particular year. This is important, okay? So let me tell you what is happening is if you go with the current year sales, right? What is happening is like whatever the years of data, it's showing blank.
Mm-hmm.
So our intention is to avoid null value.
Yeah.
Wherever you have nulls, yeah. In that case, you can simply write a Boolean statement to exclude all other years. This is one important point I just want to showcase. Okay, just straight away it's showing up 2023. So, or let's say if you don't consider month level, see, you're getting 2023 year. If I click on false, even though I'm getting 2023 data, but why should I display all this? Because my intention is to display current year sales.
Yes.
Right? So this makes sense. So two ways we have written the calculation, and even you don't require current year sales like this, you can display directly sales. This will work. So let me duplicate and let me remove this. Let me remove this and let me drop current year sales. That way you'll understand both this one and this one. If you consider month level, if you consider monthly, if I wants to display even, I mean, just want to, not monthly, sorry. Let's say if you wants to go for previous year, okay? How to get previous year, same calculation. Date difference of year, order date, comma, today. Equal to 0 is current year, okay? Equal to 1. This is like previous year. Okay. Perfect. Are you getting 2022?
Yeah.
That's what here we have seen the date difference. So this year, right? This is the relative date. If I say previous year, you should get 2022. The same alternate solution we are doing here, previous. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is current year. This is previous year. So how can we get last 6 months of sales? How can we get last 6 months of sales? Date difference of month level, right? Let's talk about month. Month equal to 0 will give you current year, current month. So I'll tell you an interesting point here, because we have data for August. I mean the future dates as well, but you can just try. So less than, I can say 5. Okay. Last 6 months. See, clearly it's showing up the complete year, right? But my intention is to display last 6 months of sales. Because we have data, we have future dates. What I'm going to do is, and order date should be less than or equal to today function. If we include this, now you can clearly see you're getting 5 months. You're getting 5 months, right? So let me use. Oh, I didn't include it. Last 6 months. Less than or equal to. Sorry.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah, that way we'll get the 6 months. So this is where one of the interesting calculation. I mean, if we have future date, we have to be careful to handle. So you should include something like some date based on today's date or something like that. Okay. So this is where the advantage of date difference function. So this is what like the date functions. Okay. So importantly, we have seen date truncation, addition, and date differentiation. So tomorrow we'll see. I'll start bit early. Sorry for that. So tomorrow we'll go for visualizations and charts. Okay. Different types of charts. Clear, Fred? Any questions?
Well, it's going to the bottom of the center.
Let me call you. So we'll go through different types of charts in Tableau. So importantly, we have, for an example, if you create any of the, let's say if you drag and drop, right? If you drag subcategory and sales into columns, default will get a bar graph, okay? And we can make use of a vertical or a horizontal bar graph by making use of this swamp button. And even you can make use of color, size, everything, right? So that's an advantage with the marks card. But basically, you don't have a direct option to go for a line graphs or area maps. Generally, because like line, area, and bar are almost same. But this is not the direct option, because to get a line or area graph, date column should be mandatory. Okay, but that's the default option from show me. If you wants to create a line graph, you can come back to marks card and select line or area. This will work. Okay, so just a quick option. So this is a bar graph, and we have I mean, we can also create something like a pyramid charts and butterfly charts. So I'll duplicate the sales. So let me edit and let me use some negative value, the reverse of the positive. So this is negative sales. Okay, if you drop a negative sales here, you can see you're getting the values in negative, and drop positive sales here. Okay, this is like a butterfly chart. It's not much important, but yeah. One advantage I'll tell you with this kind of approach is, let me come back. I've seen generally like for comparison, right? Or even in something like ESPN Cricket 4, some cricket scorecard, they have these stats actually. Okay, let's say we have results where exactly there's an Ashes series. If you look into this view, you can see results. Third test, right? So let's go through one of the scorecard stats. You have the stats, right? Go here. I'm talking about this one, this kind of visualization. So clearly you can see, for an example here, you can see Mitchell Marsh, his score is 118, right? His contribution is 118. And don't worry about sport, whatever it is. I'm just talking about the numbers, okay? Out of this particular line, this slight yellow color, you can see, right? The light yellow color, Travis Head contribution is 30, and Marsh contribution is 118, correct?
Yes.
Something similar to this we can create by using the same kind of approach, butterfly chart. For an example, I have a subcategory wise. Even I'll go for a profit. Because profit, we have negative values. I'll tell you what exactly happened. Let me duplicate. Let me edit. I'll use negative. So wherever you have a positive numbers, right? I'll just delete this. Okay. Exclude. That's I wants to showcase an example. Okay, not it's not mandatory to use that. Just to showcase side by side. So let me use and let's drop profit. Sorry, sales. So now you go back to sales and drop sales value here into labels, and go back to profit and drop profit, positive profit into labels. So that way you can make use of color, drop measure names into color. Perfect. So I know because of what exactly happening is, if you see the axis is 350K. Here it is only 60K, right?
Yeah.
Still, it's showing more than, if you consider this comparison, it's showing more than the sales. It looks like greater than sales value, but it's only 34K. But the actual value of sales, I mean, the sales value is 79. It's greater than this. So in that cases, like at least we'll go to edit axis and we can fix to 350, right? At least 350K. So let's do one thing, 0 minus 350. That way we'll see. Now you can see. We can hide the axis, not required. Okay, now this looks much better comparison. See, this is huge, 167, and this is only 47. Even you can see negative profit. You can go to tooltip and remove the profit copy. You don't require to display negative profit. Just to get this kind of a visualization, we are using negative profit, but this is what the best approach I can say to display something. Got it? It's like a comparison. That's what we have seen here, right? This one.
Yeah.
We are showing labels. If not, it's not required, but yeah, better to display labels. So that way it looks much better. Yeah, this looks much better. This is what like similar to butterfly chart. This is where we are achieving some similar kind of visualization. That's a comparison. So even we can by using butterfly chart, we can duplicate. Sorry. Simply if you sort, if you make use of sorting and increase the size of these bars, this will give you similar to pyramid chart, right? It depends, like, but I can say this is one one of the important chart.
Okay.
Importantly for bar graphs, right? We have a waterfall chart. Sorry. So let's use subcategory wise sales. You know waterfall chart, right? Waterfall is like a step-by-step analysis.
Yeah.
Let's create a bar graph first. And generally, waterfall chart will based on work based on some running some cumulative sum. And we have a few of the steps to follow. So first of all, let's do quick table calculation running total, okay? Then you can drag and drop. Let's drop sales into size, not size. So first you need to, sorry, I missed one step. Convert into Gantt bar, okay? So for creation of waterfall chart, you have to select Gantt bar, not a circle or a shapes, right? Even this will also give you the same data points wherever you have the sales information. But the size doesn't work or what we expecting. So when you drop size into, sales into size, this won't give much insights when you compare with waterfall chart kind of a display. So instead of doing that, let's use Gantt bar. Gantt bar takes size. Whenever you're going to work with Gantt chart or Gantt bar, it will work with size. So when you drop sales into size, positive sales into size, this displays different based on the value. From there, it's let's say 167, right? From 167, it's adding up another 167. It's positive. It's going from this point to front. Okay. Our intention is go back from here. So for an example, that is where you have a negative sales. So I'm going to drop sales into size. Negative sales into size. Okay. Now this is giving the proper waterfall chart. Let me exclude some part of data. Okay. So exactly, you can see the step-by-step analysis. Like it's not required to go for a step-by-step, but generally that's the approach, waterfall chart. It's a step-by-step approach. Generally, let's say in a project SDLC, right? SDLC process, software development lifecycle, right? So here we have a design phase, and you have a development. And before design, you may have a requirements gathering, correct? So you have a design, you have to develop and testing and deployment. So this is where the timelines. So for an example, for requirements gathering, this will take some time. For design, this will take some time. For development, it will take some. For testing, 1 week, something like that. And deployment, it's like a week. So this is the overall timeline, okay?
Well,
For an example, this is like 2 weeks. And this is 1 week. 1 week for design, 2 weeks for development, 1 week for testing, and 1 week for deployment. Okay. So that way we can this is what the step-by-step process. If you go back here, there's the same. Can display sales into labels to display the positive sales. Okay. And in the tooltip, you don't want to display the negative sales. That's not required. Clear? So this is what waterfall chart. Importantly, you can also go through the totals. I didn't add totals. Okay. So something similar to this is what the waterfall chart. Any questions here?
no,
Yeah. So we have a few more important charts. Like importantly, there is a concept called as dual axis. So what exactly dual axis? How important is? We'll look into that. So for an example, I have region and some sales and profit, right? If you want to compare, so basically you can simply drag and drop here, sales and drop profit here, okay? So there is an option instead of showing individually, right? Individual visualizations like separately. You have an option. If you have second measure, if you click on drop down and you can see dual axis, I'll give you more insights tomorrow, but generally we have a dual axis. And if you look into this, there is a left side axis and right side axis, correct?
yeah,
So let me drop sales into right side so that you can see sales in right and this is in left. But where I need to compare, so interestingly, if you consider only this circles, so I mean, if you consider only circles and I can synchronize, I'll do synchronize axis, that makes sense. But if I don't do synchronize axis, okay, for some reason I don't want to go for synchronize axis, in that case, where I need to compare. So for an example, if I mouse over here, this is sales. Again, I have to check the right side. And this is profit. I have to check the left side axis. Okay, this is 50K here, but here it is only 300K. Sorry, this is 300 and this is only 50. This is not in sync, right? Even though this profit shows 94K and this shows greater than this value, 391K, correct? This circle is showing way far above than this 391, but the value is only 94K. And now we can use synchronize axis to get the proper information. I mean, if you compare with two axes, right? If you make synchronize both the axes, so that way you don't get any issues. But what I mean to say is, if you don't synchronize for some reason, probably some other dependencies or something. I mean, just to like showcase those only the numbers default axis, not to synchronize. One option I can say is you have an option called as drop lines. You can see show drop lines. So just right click on this, show drop lines. So whenever you select, right, clearly it's showing the right side axis, correct? Hey, this is the axis is right side. When you click on profit, this is clearly showing to left side axis. So this is where it helps actually, the drop lines. So you can check the proper axis where we need to see. Got it? So this is close to 90 plus K. This is 691K. But both the axes are not same, but clearly this might help because it's showing to the right side and this one is left side. Clear?
Sure.
Even you can go for synchronize axis. That way, nothing to worry whether it shows left or right. The axis is same. Here is also 100. Here is also 100. But it at least it's showing up. Okay, this is profit and this is sales, something like that. It's not required now when you do synchronize. It's not required to show the header. That's okay. But let it be. So let me duplicate and let me remove drop lines. I'll tell you this is not every time it's not required. Now you can convert bar and line graph combination.
Okay.
So if you want to convert one into bar and this one line, let's use, and the sales into bar graph. See, it depends if you want to change the color, you can do that. If
Yeah.
you for the assign palette. And see, profit is not visible, correct? Profit, sorry, profit is visible, but I mean, it's in the back end. If I bring this profit on to the right side, you can clearly see profit is showing up here. Yeah, because if you do this, it's in the back side of that. So I'm unable to highlight where exactly.
Yeah.
So even we can increase the size of the line or even decrease the size of the bar. And for the line as well, you can increase a bit for a better. There's a markers, show markers. So that way we can go for a combination of line and even there is a option to go for a stepper line. Okay, let me see that. Here it is. So different options, but this is a stepper line. Stepper line is also possible. So in place of region, if I use subcategory here, see, this is a bar and this is a line graph, a stepper line. Depends, it's not mandatory to go for a stepper line, but I'm just showcasing this. Okay. Yeah, this is a combination of, I mean, I'm just using line and bar, but still bar shows like a line graph, right? Let's increase the size of the bar and do some transparency color. And you can apply some border. That makes sense. So this is one of the important charts where you can go for comparisons. Like I showed this one, right? You can also see this comparison between sales and profit. Similarly, you are comparing profit and sales with bar and line graph combination. We can do any of the option with bar and area graph and something like that. Let me duplicate. So you can, in place of line, you can also go through area graph. Okay. Even basically I have an approach. Let's use a regular line graph with a date column. Let's create a continuous line graph. You can drill down, but in place of drilling down, now I'm going for a dual axis. Okay, let's drop the same sales. Okay, drop same sales here, and you can do dual axis. Let's do synchronize axis first. Remove this. So I just done the dual axis. There are two lines actually. One is overlapping other because we are using same measures. Now go to the first marks card and say circle. Second marks card, anyhow, we have line. So, and you can increase the size of this circle. And let's go to line and see this option, how this will work. So from here to here, that's this is a bit different. It's not, there is no connection. But when you drill down, let's see how this will work. Now I can see. Kind of a lollipop chart, right? Sorry, so I just done, your voice is breaking. I just done, one is a line, but in the path, for only path, this lines, you can see there is a continuous line. This is the option actually. So for line graphs, you'll get path. If you want to go for a stepper line, this looks much better than the regular line graph, the stepper line for this, right? So I just make use of the third option, jump, right? You can see kind of a lollipop chart. I do feel this makes much difference. This looks much better than the previous one. Okay.
Yeah.
The regular line graph I'm converting into a different visual. So that is what one of the advantage here generally in Tableau. So even in place of circle, you can make use of shapes and you can go for different shapes, right? That way it looks much better. So it depends on the.
I do want the graph to
Yeah.
be.
Even you can drill down, this will work. If you have a continuous line graph with many data points, the point here is, so this data points is easy to mouse over. So that way we'll understand the actual data. If you have if you don't have this, it is very tough to mouse over. So that's the reason we are using this option. Profits is profit into color. Okay. Yeah, this is what the dual axis concept. So that is one advantage. So even with the same functionality, you can also showcase. Let me duplicate. You can also use not only line. I mean, let's use the circle shapes or circle. So you can increase. Let's use a different circle here. This one. Okay, it's anyhow it's overriding, so that's an issue. So what I will do is like I'll change the color. I don't want to use color here. Let's use a static color here. Okay, let's try to differentiate. Yeah, something like this. See. Perfect. So this is where you can completely showcase in a different approach. Like I know you can also even for the circle, you can also apply border, but I don't think there is a gap between this circle and the, it doesn't come for sure. So that is the reason we can make use of some size, all these options. Oh, there are options. I mean,
And a little bit,
yeah,
that's not just clearly to be shown. Well, you
yeah.
should to it.
So we have to make use of the marks card. Marks card makes a lot more difference actually. So we have a lot many functionalities with the marks card combination. That is one important thing. Okay. Yeah. So we'll continue this. So tomorrow I'll go for a bar within a bar graph and some more options. The dual axis and blended axis options. Okay.
All right. Understood.
Yeah. Thank you, Fred. I'll provide access to the remaining videos today in your morning time for sure.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Fred. Have a good night.